Challenger.
Hey, Proc Prince Rana here, and thank you for dropping by. Another non-debunking video, frankly because there is nothing to debunk. We'll be looking at a video by Scotty Storm. Now, some of you might remember this flat earther. I came across this person over a year ago when he had released a video explaining how the burden of proof is on us, and thus flat earth. Godless Engineer had schooled him on that. Recently, Sir Sic did the same. Both those response videos are a joy to watch. But before we watch his recent forte, me being a storyteller, can I bore you with a story? It's a story about a fox. A long time ago, in a land far, far away, lived a fox with many other foxes. But the one in question, well, he was extra bad. He would routinely raid the local farmer's barn, and what he didn't eat, he still killed. The whole chicken coop was a slaughterhouse. Finally, the farmer got sick and tired of it, and decided to lay down some traps. Lo and behold, this smart fox gets his tail tangled in one of those traps. As he's seeing the farmer approaching with a giant big axe, in an act of desperation, the fox chewed his own tail off to free himself. As he is fleeing away, he could hear the farmer shouting, "You are the only fox without a tail. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you." Yes, you do have to suspend your belief. In the story, the animals can understand human language, and it would sound better if you imagine it is Liam Neeson who's saying that. Hearing the threat, the fox came up with a really good idea. He started flaunting his tailness to other foxes. "Oh, look at me! Don't I look better without a tail?" Soon he convinced one fox, and then another, and then one more. Soon he had a bunch of other foxes all falling for his act and decided to cut off their own tails. That basically meant he was not the only fox anymore without it. The rest of the story doesn't really matter, but I would hate to have you at a limbo. Well, the farmer finally sees a fox without a tail and starts chasing it. But then, the fox runs to a group of foxes, and none of them have any tail. This was really the fox who started all this, but the farmer had no way of knowing it. Until one of the foxes shouted out, "You will never find me, farmer! Many of us is now without a tail." This is the part where the remaining foxes realized that they were tricked by this one fox and basically mauled him to death. Well, that is the version I grew up with. It is one of Aesop's fable. In other variants, the fox calls a meeting of all the foxes, saying that he had something of great importance to tell the tribe. When they were all gathered together, the fox without a tail got up and made a long speech about those foxes who had come to harm because of their tails. Now, all of Aesop's fable has a moral value or life lesson. From the tortoise and the hares, never give up, to the gnat and the bulls, you're probably not that important. The moral of the fox without a tail? Well, do not listen to the advice of him who seeks to lower you to his own level. Now let's see the video.
Scotty Storm, ladies and gentlemen. I kept fucking seeing posts on Facebook of fucking mothers. I had to fucking potentially kill my kid. I had to potentially sterilize my kid. I had to potentially give them lifelong debilitating illnesses and diseases because I had to take them to school, so I had to give them a vaccine. What? You had to what? You do realise they're brainwashing your kid behind your back to think vaccines are good and needed, and they can fucking shoot them up now without your consent, without even telling you, and that's what they've been doing. There's stories galore now of fucking, you know, parents fucking weeks to months later realising shit, their kid's been vaccinated behind their fucking backs. If you're a fucking woke parent and you're still taking your fucking kids to school, you're a fucking idiot. And if you're fucking gonna honestly give your kid any vaccination, and so, but he had to go to school, he had to go to his government indoctrination camp, which makes him the enemy. By the time he's done, he's not gonna fucking like you anymore. He's not gonna like truth anymore. If you are still taking your fucking kids to school, and you're fucking, and you're trying to pretend you're woke, you're a fucking idiot. Now, I wanted to add to my last message, right? Now, by just proxy of you taking your kid to school, okay? By just proxy of you taking your kid to school, you are saying, you're giving the school legitimacy. You're giving the government legitimacy, okay? You're sending your kid to school. They must be thinking, well, if they're lying to me at school and trying to brainwash me, why are you sending me there? They must be right, and you must be wrong, and you must be crazy. So by just sending your kid to school, by proxy, you're putting in their fucking head that you're sending them to a place they're actually learning and getting something out of. Don't do it, alright? By sending your kid to school, you're giving their mind confusing. You're confusing their head, because when you're telling them certain things at home, oh, but you're sending me somewhere they're telling me completely different things. What are you sending me there for? Exactly. Stop sending your kids to school. Stop giving the government and the fucking brainwashing at school any more legitimacy. Fuck.
Jeez, and I thought I have a bad accent. There are words in Scotty's video that I truly not understand. Now I will give him kudos for one act and then tear him to pieces. He has age restricted both his videos. So good on you, Scotty. With that away, the clips you saw were from two different videos. One titled, "Stop Giving Brainwashed Camps More Legitimacy," with the description, "By taking your kids to school, you are telling your kids by proxy, the government is right." Now this is a personal peeve of mine when people don't understand the difference between your and you are. So Scotty, your is the second person possessive adjective used to describe something as belonging to you. Your is always followed by a noun or gerund. U'(RE) is the contraction of you are and is often followed by the present principle. The other video was titled, "To all the parents out there with description, how bloody stupid can ya be?" Well, I do have a video on vaccine titled "Black Seeds, Vitamin Overdose and Vaccine." To be honest, that was the video that started all my YouTube videos. Link is in description if anyone wants to check that out. I do touch great people like Jonas Salk and Dr. Edward Jenner. Misconception on vaccine and autism, using animal material, personal liberty, basic reproduction number, and a bird's eye view of what vaccine does. Thus, I will not repeat any of that, but will play a little part from the video here. Take it away, younger me. Thanks to vaccine, here are some names we almost have forgotten. Polio, tetanus, influenza, hepatitis B, hepatitis A, rubella, Hib, whooping cough, pneumococcal disease, rotavirus, mumps, chickenpox, diphtheria, measles. Actually, scratch the last one. Thanks to the recent flux of anti-vaxxers, measles is back. Now I will skip the racial undertone that is in Scotty's video. That is when he says, if you are a white parent and you're still taking your kids to school, you're an idiot. So this person thinks vaccine is bad and is only concerned with people with the same skin color as him. I really don't understand why racist people opens their mouth and let everyone know how racist they are. On a website called Science of the Times, a blog was published in November 2019. This blog claimed that the World Health Organization WHO now considers your child's presence in school informed consent to vaccinate the child. The page features a screenshot of an official WHO document which talks about implied consent. The post also had a screenshot that was from a genuine WHO document about consent and vaccinations for children, but was lacking vital context. The page the screenshot is taken is titled Common Approaches for Obtaining Consent for Vaccination and says, current practices of obtaining informed consent for vaccination vary among countries, but can be broadly categorized into 3 approaches. It then goes on to talk about these approaches, which is categorized as a formal, written consent process, a verbal consent process, and an implied consent process. The document says, an implied consent process by which parents are informed of imminent vaccination through social mobilization and communication, sometimes including letters directly addressed to the parents. Subsequently, the physical presence of the child or adolescent, with or without accompanying parent, at the vaccination session is considered to imply consent. The British medical journal BMJ had criticized WHO for not being clear enough about consent in a pilot rollout of malaria vaccine it was coordinating in Ghana, Malawi, and Kenya. WHO further clarified this document with, the organization provides recommendations on immunization issues of global importance, but each country is sovereign and sets their own vaccination policies. Current practices of obtaining informed consent for vaccination vary among countries, and WHO does not recommend one specific approach over another. Now, how does vaccine consent work for children in my country, United Kingdom? Well, in the UK, you cannot be forcibly vaccinated. Either the person getting the immunization or someone with parental responsibility for them, depending on the person's age and whether they are Gaelic component. So whether they can fully understand what the procedure involves. Must consent for an immunization to take place. For immunizations in schools, the guideline says the situation differs depending on the age and competence of the individual child or young person. Information leaflets should be available for the child's own use and to share with their parents prior to the day the immunization is scheduled. It adds that there is no requirement for consent to be in writing. The guidelines also say individuals must be given enough information to enable them to make a decision before they can give consent. Last year in 2019, a Derby mom was angry after son was given vaccine without her consent and made a big fuss when she found out her young son received a meningitis vaccination at St. Benedict's School. She also made a claim that it has caused her 14-year-old son autistic. Mr. Maukudi says she is fully against vaccination after speaking to other mothers and reading articles on social media and the internet. So she did her own research. According to NHS England, vaccines are among the safest form of medication, and the benefits of vaccination far outweigh the risk of side effects. And it may be tempting to say no to vaccination and leave it to nature. However, deciding not to vaccinate your child puts them at risk of catching a range of potentially serious, even fatal diseases. I'm surprised that NHS didn't comment on the risk factors towards other kids who genuinely cannot take a particular vaccine due to real medical reason. So vaccine not only protects the person but also helps others who are not so fortunate. A spokesman for Derbyshire Community Health Service NHS Foundation Trust said, "It is national NHS policy to allow secondary school students to self-consent to vaccination so long as they are competent to do so. This can be from age 12 in some areas of the country, but in Derbyshire, our policy is from age 13. As providers of the school-age immunization service for Derby and Derbyshire, we have a duty under NHS England policy to provide vaccinations to students who are deemed competent to self-consent. letters are always given to students via school to take home ahead of the vaccinations taking place to explain what we are doing and when. I really wanted to find out more about this mom, especially her educational background, but I couldn't find anything and didn't want to stalk any social media for that either. But in most cases, the ones who make this kind of claim are mostly uneducated people, and thus they fall into the trap of listening to other uneducated mothers and researching on social media. Correlation does not imply causation. For example, sales of ice creams increases at the same time as the sales of sunglasses. Now only a fool would attribute one of the increase on the other. The whole thing with vaccine and autism started when an a-hole, yes, I do mean an a-hole, named Andrew Wakefield with 12 others published a paper on Lancet. It was later found to be fabricated and was retracted by the medical paper. The end conclusion was either Andrew is a fraud or was so incompetent that he was unable to fairly describe the project. Again, I have touched this to a great detail on my other video. TLDR, many actual scientific studies have been performed for many years. Denmark did a study that included over 657,461 children born from 1999 through 31st of December 2010. Comparing MMR vaccinated with MMR unvaccinated children yielded a fully adjusted autism hazard ratio of 0.93. Translating to layman term, no increased risk for autism after MMR vaccination was consistently observed. Back to Scotty. As he so eloquently put, going to government indoctrination camp will make the child the enemy and will make the child not liking truth. I guess he meant to say his kind of truth, or as we call it, not truth, false, fake, bullshit. There are a bunch of synonyms for that. Well, my rant is over. If you have enjoyed this video, well, you know what to do. Like, comment, and maybe share it around. If you think it is worthwhile, please consider subscribing. It would truly help me bring more contents to you. Thank you for watching. Wherever you are, have a safe day. Signing off.